What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekend astrology horoscope for the weekend of January 4th and the 5th of 2024. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, fixed air moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Appreciate you all. Hope you had a great week, great new year, great holidays, all the great things. Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to the weekend. Start off on Saturday, January 4th, and we're going to see that moon in Pisces with Saturn. Not always the funnest conjunction to go through, but at the same time, it's emotional responsibility, accountability, maturity, having to do it through our emotions, through our sensitivities, kind of makes us feel like we got to do maybe more for ourselves, but also be very empathetic. So we're feeling a lot of responsibility inwardly and in our personal lives of what needs to get done, what needs to kind of go through the cycles and change. And it can just be a lot of emotion kind of going around, but we might not want to feel it. We might want to suppress or kind of put these things down. It's Capricorn season, so the sun's being disposited by that Saturn, and also really nice sextiles from the sun to the moon and Saturn. So in the end, it's not like it has to be that bad. I think it just comes back to our own sort of sense of emotional responsibility and maturity and trying to initiate the best changes in our life and be able to go with the flow and appreciate the flow and see that the flow has purpose. And I think if we're in a place where we feel like the flow and the change has purpose, it's easier to kind of adapt to where the emotions are trying to go instead of maybe repressing where the emotions want to go. Let the stream of emotion carry you to help you initiate and move forward with things that you want, whether it's goals or accolades in life or different achievements that you're hoping to see come to fruition. Likely just change is part of the start of change of getting changes. Actually, it's funny. I like kind of changing things, but that's kind of the start. So it can feel like there's end to beginning kind of energy in a way, and being cool with that is a big deal. I think Venus wants to kind of see all the beautiful things in life and imagine something great and what can be manifested and relationships that can form. And I think our ideals can be very high right now, and it's good to keep that positivity flowing. It's interesting, just the mystic rectangle we have with the nodes and Mars and Pluto, right? Two sextiles, two trines, opposition. Just in terms of like intensity, like there's this interesting intensity that wants us to kind of hold on to the best qualities we have, but also reinvent ourselves in ways to show that and to relate that and to initiate. So, I don't know, we want to keep that in mind this weekend. Like, change is good. It can feel odd. I think a lot of things can feel odd. Like Mercury's coming off a quincunx to Uranus. The moon this weekend is going to sextile Uranus. And the sun's going to, eventually start trining it, but the sun's also starting to square Chiron. So it's almost like through the sort of oddities in life, we're getting pushed into the changes that are going to initiate the best things that are healing, the best things that are purposeful for our own journeys. And it can be weird sort of insights that come through, and we want to like be able to expand our mind and kind of unlock different chambers in our ways of thinking that can not only help us be emotionally accountable and responsible, but be willing to go through the ebbs and the flows of what that change can look like and how it can provide more value to our life and keep us inspired. I think we're looking for inspiration in a lot of ways to initiate on. And I think that maybe if we're able to listen to our emotions and kind of hunker down and feel what's really going on, there's a lot more insight internally than maybe we even would expect, but that's like where it is. And maybe a lot of it's like looking for some sort of external validation when really the validation is more internal. As we come to Sunday, again, ratcheting up this week, coming into next week for that, not so much the trine, but I meant to go square to Chiron, now direct, and the moon's going to come into Aries and it's going to start up there with Neptune. And I think that Sunday kind of starts off a little, little slow, a little chill, then kind of ramps up into Aries, and all of a sudden Sunday kind of feels like we need to, if all of a sudden the fire kind of kicks up and starts roaring a little bit. We're like, whoa, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? It's Moon North Node. There's this intensity of initiation, almost like feeling like we got to get this week started, you know? Um, so trying to like really figure out that start. Mercury's starting to really square Neptune. The moon will square Mercury. So it's interesting, the level of confusion that can be showing up in our lives. Mercury's also getting ready to start squaring the nodes, right? As it comes into that 0 point of Capricorn. So sun's coming off the sextile side. It's just very interesting. It's a confusing time, and I think we want answers and we want to initiate. And we're kind of like ready to get things going into the new calendar year. And linearly, factually, there isn't a lot of like solidarity, right? And I think we could be like really searching for that sort of like aha to kind of show up and give us confirmation. And the confirmation is just you identifying more or less with what you want to do instead of needing an external validating experience. There's a lot of really good things trying to come from a much more emotional, spiritual, intuitive place than here's the fact, here's the analytical data, here's the thing that's going to give you the aha confirmation. So I think it's really more Sunday like confirmation comes from within. Trust your confirmations, trust your intuition, and take the next steps. Take on certain responsibilities that feel in alignment with that. Like, don't be afraid to start even if you don't have confirmation just yet, right? I think that that's kind of one of the bigger things that we're at right now. And it feels weird. I don't know. Mars is in a weird place. It's in a semi-square with Jupiter. It's opposite Pluto. It's making good aspects to the nodes here. So it's just kind of having to really believe in ourselves and that we have the right sort of idea about what we want, and to trust that belief and to initiate from it. And I think we've dialed up enough facts that we don't like need something to come in and prove it more. It's more about taking that leap of faith with North Node and Neptune coming together over the next, month, 2 months. It's like that. There's just like a very powerful leap of faith that needs to be taken. And even the North Node coming into Pisces is like, well, guess what? The South Node's coming into Virgo. Like, ironically, we really don't need a lot of factual data and proof right now. It's more of we're on a precipice, and are we willing to take the step into the unknown and into that precipice and see what can come, instead of needing such a grounded analytical approach. And I think that that's in some ways what we're kind of seeing a build up towards now. It's like, are you willing to take that leap of faith and step off into the unknown and know that God's going to catch you? God's going to help you find what you're looking for in that space, and that there's nothing tangible that's probably going to show up to give you the confidence until you've taken the leap of faith. So we're all kind of like looking for that next thing and to initiate this weekend, but we have to do it from a empowering place of trusting that something's going to be there. Like, there's a safety net to catch us, but we can't see it, and it's really far away, and it's really dark and looks like an abyss, and that can be a scary trust fall, but it's a trust fall with God. That's very interesting, and that's on you to figure out what that trust fall looks like, and to be okay with it, and to not feel stunted as we're approaching this square to Chiron with the Sun in Capricorn. To not be scared or ambitious enough to trust in sort of the greater picture of where we're supposed to go on this, destiny trip that we're on. The Wheel of Fortune. What a great card for the weekend. The Wheel of Fate, Wheel of Fortune. It's spinning, and life's funny like that because we're always kind of on this wheel and it's always kind of spinning and we're always so afraid of hitting bankrupt, right? Like Wheel of Fortune. Oh, please don't hit the bankrupt. Um, but it's like there's only a small percentage of chance of actually hitting that. Why not just spin the wheel and be stoked because you could always hit jackpot. And I think the jackpot kind of comes from a trust that the wheel's going to spin in your favor and that it always is. So I think there's a lot of fortune out there. And I think we just have to be willing to let the wheel spin and land where it may without sort of feeling like we have to overly interject or manipulate the spinning of that wheel, if you will. And know that kind of a deeper knowing that we're going to get the fortune if we trust, where it's almost like any kind of like manipulation can ultimately like not get you what you want, and you might land on that bankrupt and feel like you're further away from the fortune that you might ultimately desire or want or part of goals and things. So let the wheel spin where it may right now, and I think be happy that it's spinning, and I think realize really the odds are always in your favor. Don't manifest bad outcomes even though we don't know what the outcome is going to be. Stay hopeful and manifest good outcomes and have that faith to sit very patiently with that. I love you all. Have a beautiful weekend. I'll see you all on Monday. Much love. Peace. Oh, last weekend I'm going to do the Solstice sale. So if you want to book a reading for $200, I haven't been talking about it much this week, but if you want to book $200 for a reading, this is the last weekend. Send an email. It's down below. That's it. That's all. Have a great weekend. I'll see you all Monday. Much love. Peace.